as you can see, our girl Tam is out sick again. Girl, we miss you so much. We hope you feel better soon. But joining us as our guest co-host today is our girl Tisha Campbell, no stranger to this table. Tisha, we missed you. How you been?
I've been so good.
Yeah?
So good.
Well, you look
busy.
We love
Thank God.
busy. So, girl, are you ready for some girl chat?
You know I am.
Here we go. All right. Guys, this story has gone viral and it's upsetting so many people. So earlier this season, we put Orlando police officer Dennis Turner on the L train. Do you guys remember this, for the little girl that got arrested? She was only 6 years old and her name is Kaya, for reportedly throwing a tantrum in her school. I think it's important to know the backstory. This child actually suffers from sleep apnea, so she obviously had not gotten any rest and went to school and had a tantrum. Someone, we don't know who that someone is. It has not come out. We tried to do the research. If you know who called the police, I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out. But a police officer absolutely came, Dennis Turner, and he arrested 6-year-old Kaya. Well, months after, you guys, the Orlando Sentinel obtained disturbing video that has now been released by the family's attorney of the arrest, which shows Kaya crying to the officers to let her go and pleading with them not to put her back in the back of the squad car. Take a look.
I don't want to go to the police car.
You don't want to?
No, please.
You have to.
No, please. Give me a second chance.
You gotta go.
I don't want to do this. No. Please. Please. Please.
Wow. I can't even fathom what that child just went through. In addition, you guys, to being arrested, Kaya's mom actually said she was fingerprinted and she also had her mugshot taken.
What?
At the
What
Yo.
are you talking about?
Yeah,
Oh my
this
God.
just, I mean, it just sounds cruel. Even us hearing the child crying like that, it makes you want to cry. I can't imagine what the police officer standing there, how he could continue to proceed to do that. Well, you guys, the story has made national news. Officer Turner was ultimately fired for not following department policy, which requires you to have a supervisor if you're going to arrest anyone under the age of 12. So the Orlando Police Department apologized and dropped Kaya's charges.
Dude, oh my God.
But ladies, how do you think this even happened in the first place?
Wait, it's a lot of stuff here.
There's more.
Yeah. You want
So
to do
first
it?
of all, this was the second 6-year-old
Yeah.
Yes.
that Officer Turner arrested in the same day.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
And previous before that, he had been bragging that this is what he does to children to get them to comply. And I don't know if you mentioned it, Aid, but he did zip tie that
Yes.
young girl's hands together to cuff her.
Yeah.
Okay, I do believe this was a charter school. I have no problem with charter schools. The issue I have is that the school officials had to have called him.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
Reportedly, Kaya was hitting. She hit like 3 of the adults. Now, I have friends who are teachers, and I've asked them, I said, what would you do if this had happened? They said, we would just put her in a room, or we let her tire herself out. We wouldn't call the police to do that. You know what I mean?
What about call her parents? Why would you call
How
the
about
police?
that? There's so many different steps
Call her parents.
prior to that.
It seems so ridiculous for a 6-year-old.
She's in the first
I know it seems
grade.
ridiculous, but see, this is what happens because a lot of times, if certain schools, like this wasn't a public school.
Okay.
Public school teachers are certified, so they know how to handle certain children. I don't know if she's special needs, but any type of child, when they're 6, they're going to be rambunctious and
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah, but
So-
sleep apnea is definitely a real disorder.
Yeah,
and it's a
just like
factor.
autism is, or just like ADHD. There's something.
I'm blaming it on the school.
Yes,
I'm blaming it on the school and
because
the school
if he was
officials.
fired,
Yeah.
somebody else needed to be fired. For that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But guys, like, we've done all the research. Like, we've been looking all day long because I wanted to say, I kept asking, who called to get
It
this
had to
child
be the
arrested?
school.
And they believe that that person may possibly be getting protected because they called the police.
But even-
somehow we don't have a name for who
But
called
even
this
then,
police.
even though the school should be held accountable, obviously, for calling the police officer, the police officer showing up and seeing that he's
following
having an
through.
issue
And-
with a
and bragging.
6-year-old, bragging about it, and then actually going through and zip tying this young girl, and just hear her voice. She's absolutely, completely, like, disturbed and traumatized.
But even in the
100%.
video, there was an adult voice
was gonna
other
say
that was like, "Kai, baby, you got to come on." That she had been calm by then.
There
So-
was a administrator in the beginning of the video sitting at a desk,
Yes.
and the officer says, like, "So are we gonna take her?" And she's like, "Yep, you gotta go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
But this is a part of the bigger conversation that I keep having on this show, where we do not let black children be children.
Yep.
And this takes us back to Tamir Rice. This takes us back to Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was playing at a park. He was playing at a park with a toy gun, and they ran up on him and took his life in cold blood without even having a conversation, because there's this real deep fear that black children are somehow like superpower thugs. And it's like, I don't know how this story gets unwritten. This is even scarier because these are black adults that are carrying this out against these children. And that's when you see brainwashing at its worst.
Yes.
And I'm from Orlando. I see this story, and I just know I was very fortunate to be in different spaces, but so many other folks are not as lucky and not as fortunate. And it's like, how, if you can't go to school and be safe, where can you go?
Exactly.
Where can you go?
Tisha, as a parent, I just want to ask you, what would you do if something like this happened to one of your children?
Oh, I would.
It's another side of Tisha. That's
You'd be
it's a
arrested.
side. No, I would probably be arrested because that's another side of me that nobody would get to see. When it comes to my children, I fight.
Yes.
I'm gonna fight for my kids, and so everybody would be held accountable, and it would be the school, the teacher, the person who called, the administrator, the principal, that would shut that school down.
I'd raise all kinds of hell. Absolutely.
But what's even more, like, to Amanda's point, is that we're passing laws so that this can happen to our children. And the Washington Post also did an article that said how black children are disproportionately disciplined harder than any other race.
That is so
It was a whole
unfair.
article about it.
And now
Check it out.
this young girl is forever traumatized.
Forever. For sure.
And her relationship with the police is now forever traumatized.
And with adults, with teachers,
Yes.
with anybody
So you
that
have
has
discipline.
So
an
now
authority.
you set her
figure.
up to be on a course that lands her in prison.
Yeah.
So it's really a very nefarious system that we put in place from an early age when we start training our children to be afraid of authority and
Right.
to consider that they are now a threat to society.
You have to watch what schools you put your kid in.
Yes.
You have to be part of the system.
Yeah.
Question them. Question what are their policies if your child is unruly, if your child has a bad day. You have the right as the parent to question them.
Yeah, and I'm
right.
looking forward to hearing the parents' reaction from this too, because I haven't heard anything from Kaya's parents. All right, so taking it on a lighter note, comedian Pete Davidson, who's also ex-fiance to Ariana Grande, he was sitting down with Charlemagne the God, and he was talking about everything from SNL to his ex-relationship. And when asked about why he jokes about Ariana during his stand-up, Pete said that he feels like she got her fair share taking about him, and that stand-up is his outlet to express his feelings about it. He also doesn't have an Instagram, so he feels like this is his place to kind of let it go in the captions. So, ladies, Pete thinks that talking about his ex-relationship is fair game. What do you guys think?
I do it on here all the time.
That's right.
You know,
Hey,
there
shout out
is
to
that
Charlemagne.
saying
Right.
that says, if you wanted people to speak nicely about you, you would have acted nice. You know, like you would have done right by the people. And you have to recognize that everyone has the right to their own story. They have the right to speak on what they experience. What I am curious about, though, is when he's talking about her, is he talking about her negatively?
No, it's more self-deprecating about him.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so
he
then-
lost her. Plus, you got to
That's not a
remember,
bad
she
thing.
has made songs about him.
Yeah.
You know,
And
sorry
she,
next.
She has the right to do that. It's
I don't
part
think
of her
it's
art.
tit for tat. I don't think it's tit for tat at all. And I think a little bit of it is an artist. Like, as an artist, that's how you express yourself. You may write a song or paint a painting, or I was on Smart, Funny, and Black, and I was just telling everybody, me and Tashina did Smart, Funny, and Black, and I got to express myself.
Yes, you
and
did.
it was hysterical.
Right,
but
right.
that's what we do, even when we're on this show.
Yeah.
We get to talk about our real life stories, and
Yes.
I don't think it's a bad thing. They both are getting it out however they can get it out, but it isn't a bad thing. I think
Right.
it's what it is.
Do you
It
think
makes
it's
it
bad
healthy.
if it's like attacking the person or like share, like we always say, even once a relationship ends, you should still have some respect for what was.
Shoot.
Is there a boundary or a line that shouldn't be crossed?
I don't know
As
about
a
that.
comic?
If you are
Okay.
offended, that's your issue. But when it comes to your relationship, you have the right to speak your truth. However that comes out.
For sure,
Now, I
but
do
do you
agree
think
too.
that
I do
morally-
agree that when somebody just comes out of a relationship, you give them a little bit of time to go through the emotions, whatever that may be. Some people come out with a crazy album, some people come out with crazy jokes, but you got to give them that time. If they're still talking about something in a petty manner years after, I feel like then it gets awkward, right? You should move on.
I need to hear
you guys are
from
the
this too.
comedians.
Because he said something in this interview that was legit. He was like, this is my therapy.
Yeah.
And so when we're on stage, it's like, I'm going to get it out. And,
Yeah.
you know, I can't promise it's going to be pretty.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, it's funny because it's true.
Yes.
You know, so you just...
Kevin Hart made his whole career
career.
about what are y'all talking?
Okay.
Hits the board.
Is James in your stand-up?
Hell yeah, James is in my stand-up.
He's in her jokes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, would you feel a way if you had dated a comedian or if one of your ex-boyfriends suddenly decides he wants to pick up comedy and he spoke negatively about you?
You know
How
what?
would you feel about it?
I have a problem with you speaking falsely.
Yes.
Like, if I did some negative things, I probably already apologized for it anyway.
Exactly.
But it's when you start lying to try and make yourself
Yes,
look good,
yes,
that's
yes,
when we have
yes,
a problem.
That's the problem.
yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
That's why I really do think people reserve the right to tell their version of the
No,
story.
for sure. I just
Yeah.
think there's some, just for me, there's some personal things that I just, even if they were whack, it's over. So I wouldn't want to speak on those things because they were private
It's just
or
material.
intimate
But if
or.
there's personal things about them, like,
You get what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
think that's anyone's
Or their
business.
family.
Okay.
But if it
Right.
was between us, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, right, their family
Yeah, now the
or their,
family's off.
their personal
Would you
history.
insult them sexually?
If they were insulting as sexual partners, yes.